Hey, it's Rich, the Louisiana Hobby Guy. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Ortur Lasermaster 3, which is the newest product that just came out from Ortur. And it is a diode laser. It's 10 watts and it has built-in air assist. Now, I've been using Orturs since the day they came out. In fact, if you look back here, up on that shelf back there hanging behind me, in all my videos you'll see the original Lasermaster, Ortur Lasermaster, which was a cantilever style 2-watt laser. And that thing has gotten a lot of use. And so I've been with Ortur since the very beginning. I've been a customer of theirs. I started with the original Ortur. I don't even believe that one was named the Lasermaster, but I had the original Lasermaster, the Lasermaster 2. I had several of them in production, actually. And then, of course, the Lasermaster 2 Pro. I had mixed feelings on that. It's a nice machine. And now the latest version, the Lasermaster 3. And this, I have to say, is probably one of their best machines so far. This review today is not going to be like what you see a lot of the other reviews on the internet, a lot of fluff. There's going to be no fluff in this video. We're going to talk about all of the features, some important things that you should note along the way, how to connect it to your Wi-Fi, just a bunch of pertinent information relative to the machine and how to use it. So let's get started. Oh, by the way, I wanted to just take a minute and say thank you to everyone, a big thank you to everyone who responded so quickly to my last video, the one on making a gift for Austin, the autistic boy in Georgia. The response was overwhelming and it really, really warmed my heart. So thank you so much for that. There will be a follow-up video and I will have some actual images of things that people made for Austin in Georgia for his birthday. So thanks again for that. I really appreciate it. So with that said, let's jump into the review itself and let's take a look at the machine, the assembly. I'm not going to go through the assembly. I'm just going to talk about it. I'll show you a few pictures. I don't do assembly videos. There's plenty of them out there. Ortur actually has a pretty good assembly video. So we're just going to jump right into the machine itself. Alright, so we're going to start with a few pictures that I've got here. This is everything in the package. Very, very few parts to this. Very simple to put together. I'll put a instructional video down below in the show more section below the video where you can see the assembly process. It really took only about maybe 10 or 15 minutes total. Some of the things that I like, well, they have a little toolkit here, which is pretty much meaningless, but I really like that because I get all of my tools mixed up for the different machines, and having the box that says Ortur keeps me from having to use a Ziploc baggie and marking it with the name of the laser. Another thing I like that they did here was they added the switch up here where you can plug the YRR, the roller accessory, directly into the machine and then just throw this switch over to the left and you're in rotary mode. So great new addition, wonderful to see, makes it so much better than having to unplug the Y-axis and all that kind of stuff. Another big improvement that I saw is on the power supply, which I don't think is in this image right here, but the power supply is no longer a power hog. Which if you've seen my other Ortur review videos, you'll know that's one thing I really don't like, is the power supply covering up both plugs. Well, they have a new, improved, much better looking power supply as well. So here is that switch to switch from the rotary on the left to the Y-axis on the right. So no more, changing settings or anything else, and it works well too. So I really like that. Here's a close-up of the actual toolbox, and here you've got your keys, your wrench, your Allen wrenches, and everything that you need to assemble this, which is very little, including the USB stick here with the flash drive in it in case you need to update the firmware. We'll talk about that in a moment. This is the new plug from Ortur, which makes me very happy. I know it probably doesn't matter to you, but it's not going to hog up the wall space. And here is the finished product. And I got to tell you, they did a really nice job on the design here. I like everything about it. I like the clean look, the name down here, the e-stop, which is pretty much worthless because you got the key right here. Sort of redundant. Everything is nice and clean, and it works really well. So, I mean, the look of it anyway. And over here is where the air assist comes in. This is where the power comes in. The only thing I didn't like was that they used a USB A to A cable when we're used to a USB A to B. And you know, we've got, if you're in this hobby, you've got plenty of USB A to Bs laying around, printer cables. So that USB A to A, I'm not too fond of that. I don't think anybody is, because nobody has those on hand. I happen to have it on hand, so it's not a big deal. And then, of course, you have a few parts for the air assist. Now, one thing I did notice was that the lens on this does need to be cleaned regularly. I noticed that after just 3 tests, and I did, I don't know, probably 40 hours of testing with this machine, and I'm not going to get into all 40 hours of testing, but I did notice that it does, even with the air assist on it, the smoke and debris does tend to go up into that nozzle and gets the lens dirty quickly. And if you know anything about this, you know that if you operate with a dirty lens, you're going to crack it. So it does need to be cleaned regularly. I've gotten into the habit of every day after I'm done using it, and sometimes midday if I'm doing a lot of tests with it. And there you can see that is the dirt before I cleaned it when I took the air assist off. It has a fantastic air supply coming down through here, but for some reason the air assist comes in from the side, and I don't know how it's getting back up to that lens, but it's getting back up to that lens somehow. And you can see the halo right there where the laser beam is coming through. So I did wind up having to take that apart on a regular basis, like I said. And I use over here a product called Purity lens cleaner. And I know a lot of people say just grab the alcohol and a Q-tip, but that's not the right way to do it. Most people have 94% IPA or 91% IPA, and that is not recommended for laser lenses. Absolutely not. If you're not using 99 IPA, 99% isopropyl alcohol, you're going to wind up damaging this lens. And if you're using Q-tips, you're going to wind up damaging the lens as well. I use this Purity, has no abrasives in it whatsoever, and a microfiber cloth. Alright, so I've got a project loaded right now, which is a Porta Cafe. This project came to me from one of my viewers, Federico Folletto from Italy, and he graciously gave me the file and said that I can give it to you. We may as well use it during this test to see how well this laser will cut. So what I've done is I've reorganized this file a little bit, and if you take a look at this frame over here, you'll see that it is 300 by 300 millimeters, which is the wood that I am currently using. So what I've got to do now is I have to come to my cuts and layers, and I have to come to my fill, and down in my library I have created the library for the Lasermaster 3, and we are going to come in here and come down to basswood right here, 3mm, and we're going to do we have to go to engrave, highlight engrave, and we're going to click assign to layer, and that is 15,000 millimeters per minute, 100% power. Now we're going to come to the red layer here, and we're going to go 3mm cut, assign that to the layer, and that is 500 speed, 100% power according to Ortur. So hopefully these settings will be good. I'm going to turn the frame off on the toolpath because we don't need that. I've already set the wood up on the laser and I framed it, so I know that it's in the right spot and it's going to cut properly. Let's come to the laser, and I am going to start this job now, and I've got this set up on the other camera, and I will run this in hyperlapse so that you can see it. Okay, well, let's take a look, see what we got. I was hoping everything was going to drop out, but it has not. It's pretty close. Not nearly close enough though. I'm going to have to do a little work with my X-Acto tool and maybe just make a little bit of changes, slow this down just a bit. As you can see, I can get the pieces out, but I don't like to take them out this way if I don't have to. I would much prefer to go ahead and just have them drop straight out like that one did right there. This one is going to need a little bit of work with the X-Acto tool, it looks like. There are a couple spots like right here that are kind of hard to get to. No, maybe not. I might be able to get all of this done just by snapping it out. But like I said, I would much rather if everything just fell out the way it's supposed to. So I will go ahead and change that setting in the library and just lower the speed by just maybe 100 millimeters per minute or so. But as you can see, they're all pretty nice clean cuts. So that's the good thing. So there is my first part, and I guess I don't have to use the X-Acto knife after all, except maybe to clean up an edge here or there. And there we go. Slight adjustment, and you're always going to need to make adjustments, you know, based on the wood moisture and the temperature and all that kind of good stuff. So it was pretty close. Pretty close is good enough for me. I'll make the adjustment in my library and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is part 2. I've lowered the power to 425, and let's see what we get. That's much better. This is how I would expect the pieces to come out, pretty much on their own, and I think that is going to be the right speed for the 3mm cut is 425. There's still a little bit of grab in here, but that was much better all in all. Alright, so I wanted to do a hardware test on this now. I've brought out one of my hardware templates, as you can see over here from my library. I've got this set up so that I can check the gantry, looking for squiggly lines, check the cornering, straight lines, and intersections. So I've got this framed up. I've got my cuts and layers, the engraved layer. I've got set at 3,100. This is 2mm wood. So I've set this center square over here to 500 and 100. I've got my cut over here at 600 and 100 for a reason which I'll show you after the video. Hopefully it won't fall out. And I'm just going to come over here to the camera. We'll pull that out and make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. You can go to the laser, and I already have the wood on the bed. I'm just going to hit start. and we'll see what it does. Now it's right now marking that black. And basically I'm going to look for squiggly lines to see if the gantry is parallel. You know, I'm going to look at the straight lines to make sure that they're straight, make sure the corners are cornered, and take a look at the cutting ability as well. And once this finishes, which it's almost done now, we'll go over to the laser and take a look at it and analyze that just a little bit. And we're just about done here. So let's jump over to the laser and let's see what we get. Now there is one thing Ortur claims, and that is that they have advanced compressed spot technology on this, where they're saying that it doesn't cut in a rectangular shape, but we're about to verify that by looking at the results of this hardware test. So let's go take a look. All right, here we are at the laser. Let's see what we get. Now, I wasn't really expecting that to happen, but it did. Okay, so these pieces dropped out, and if we take a really close look, the first thing I want to look at is the circles. And I don't know how close I can get with this camera, but I will try and get really close. You'll see there is not a squiggly line anywhere. The lines are perfectly round, and I'm going to measure that with my caliper just to make sure, but it looks like it's perfect to me. The cut, this is 2mm wood. Cut came out perfect. The square looks pretty perfect. The edges are perfect. No burning on the other side. I wanted to go a little slower to see if there would be a difference in the cutout, but it cut them both out cleanly, so I didn't achieve that. I'm going to try and run one more piece. I guess I'll go a little bit faster just to see if it has that rectangular problem. It doesn't look like it does at this point. Alright, so I ran another test and I bumped the speed up to 750 millimeters per minute, and this is what I was looking for right here. We'll look on the back side, and I'm going to say that they're probably right. Now, this may have been a little bit warped on the table, but you can see that the lines going horizontally are the same. Let's look at these two, horizontal and vertical, these three. Those three lines, they're all almost cut through, and you can see that their advanced spot technology takes care of that problem with the rectangular shaped diode. So I'm going to give the win to Ortur on this one and say that it does cut the same in every direction. Toward the end of the video I'll say that it doesn't, but apparently this one does. So and this is really one of the first that I found that cuts the same in every direction. So that is definitely a win on Ortur's part. You know, 750 millimeters per minute, 2mm wood, and that's the result. All right, so let's get into all of the improvements and the actual facts for nerds. And a little bit of Q&A. And one of the, as I understand it, one of the biggest questions that Ortur has been getting is, can this engrave at speeds of 20,000 millimeters per minute? Well, yeah, it can. And there's a reason for that. There are four major design changes in the LM3 that give it this ability. And number one is the center of gravity has been lowered on this. Now you still have the pass-through for most of the materials that we're going to be using, you know, up to a 1/2 or 3/4 of an inch, something like that, you know, plywood and things like that. So you still have the pass-through as far as that's concerned, but they've lowered that center of gravity all the way down, and they've lightened up the laser module. So the laser module weighs in at 235 grams, traveling back and forth on the x-axis. And that really is important. I think that's probably the lightest, unless you get down to the half watt, 1 watt laser modules. That's probably going to be the lightest module that I've seen, is 235 grams, and that is the LU2-10A, which is the module that comes in the 10 watt version of this laser. So next is going to be the firmware. So the firmware now includes G-code streaming, optimization, which allows the transfer of data to break the old limitation of 6,000 millimeters per minute. Now, don't be fooled. A lot of machines out there are saying, 10,000 millimeters per minute, or some of the newer machines are saying 10,000 millimeters per minute. But if you look at their acceleration figures in the G-code, you're going to see that the actual measured speed is going to be about 6,000 millimeters per minute. It's not going to be able to surpass that. But I did notice that I did measure the Ortur Laser 2, and I got 8,000 millimeters. I didn't go higher than 8. It's rated at 10. So I'm guessing that the Ortur Laser 2 has the same motherboard in it as well. This also comes with the TMC2209, the silent stepper driver chips. These are high performance drivers that are on the control board, and they allow for high torque and silent operation and no switch homing. So when you eliminate a piece of hardware like a homing switch, that's a good thing. These have the hard stops, so now that TMC2209 knows when it hits that hard stop, and it stops the laser and it's in the home position. This unit is also powered by the ESP Pro version 2.4 motherboard and the ESP32 chip, as I just said, input and output ports, and it does have a better reinforced power system. And one thing that's really interesting is that there is the TMC2209 stepper driver is for all 3 axes, and you heard me right, all 3 axes. Now they haven't launched it yet, but they are coming out with a Z driver stepper motor, which will raise and lower the laser head in the software, and that is a big plus for me. I love having that feature on my CO2. I think that it's a fantastic feature, and they've also got some other input-output ports on here for future expansion. Another thing, that this is the next generation of laser engraving protocols. So another thing that this machine has is direct image engraving. So using AI, the firmware will be able to convert and optimize or convert and optimize an image directly sent to the machine, and automatically generate that G-code without any user intervention whatsoever. So that's another nice plus. And probably one of my favorite things about this machine is the web UI. And what is the web UI? The web UI is a web user interface. It means that you can go in a web browser and control everything, including updating the firmware, everything that you can do in Lightburn and Laser Gerbil, you can now do in the web UI, and it is lightning fast because it is directly connected to your router, your SSID and your password, and it has a direct connection to the router. And this is a little different than the other web UIs that you've seen, because now you have the ability to control this with a computer, with a Chromebook, with a laptop, with an iPad, with an Android tablet, with any smart device that can get onto the internet and go to a web page. They're calling this smart engraving. There are like 5 different ways that you can connect to this machine and run your jobs. You can operate it normally via the USB. You can use the phone app, which I'm not a fan of, although it works. You could upload the G code directly via FTP. More importantly, the most important thing is that web UI, the user interface, the web page. I really like that. And if you remember in my Ray 5 video, that was one of my favorite features. Although with the Ray 5 you have to connect every single time. With this one you set it once. All you have to do is open either an FTP program or open Lightburn or Laser Gerbil. You go in there, you set your SSID, you set your password, and that's it. You'll see in the demonstration that I do, it's very simple, and from there you can operate it any way you want on any type of smart device. Let's talk about for a minute safety on this. It does come with laser goggles. I recommend that you buy certified laser goggles. I'll have a link below in the description. The laser goggles that all of these laser manufacturers provide, I don't trust, and I want to get my goggles certified. You only have one set of eyes, so I want that certification printed right on the glass, and that's why I buy certified goggles. But this does come with a basic set of goggles if you want to use it. I always recommend that you only use this in a room where it's only you, and whenever it's in use you wear your glasses. There is an e-stop on it and a key switch. The key switch, great new feature. You can lock the machine with the key, which also turns it off, and it'll be locked. Nobody else can use it. Take the key with you. Something goes wrong. This has all of the standard gyros, the pan, tilt, shock, all that type of thing, abnormal motion, machine duration, if it gets stuck in one spot, won't light up on fire. It has all of the standard safety features that most of them have, so we're not really going to get into that. Let's talk about the optional equipment for this machine, which a lot of you I think are going to be interested in. So they have something called LEP 1.0, which is a laser engraving platform. It either launched last month or is launching this month. I can't remember which. And that is suspension support. It helps to, it's sort of like a honeycomb, keeps the objects from getting yellowed on the bottom side. There is an optional ZLD 2.0 motorized Z-axis lift, which I believe is already released. I don't have one of those. I'd love to have that where I can control it in Lightburn, set it to 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters. Say I'm cutting 4 millimeter plywood. I would set that to set the move distance to 2 millimeters, hit the down button once, the laser will drop down 2 millimeters, and I'm ready to run the cut after the engrave. That is just a fantastic feature, having that motorized Z. That one has already been launched and I haven't gotten one yet. They also have a new OE 2.0, which is the new protective enclosure. It's sort of like the grow tent, like the other ones you've seen being launched recently. It's a fireproof cloth with a window that you can view through, and that is something that I recommend to everybody, having that enclosure and also having a good exhaust venting to the outside. And then there's also, finally, the optional ETK 2.0 extension kit that was released last month, I believe. And that will increase the y-axis by double. So you'll now have an 800 by 400, 800 by 400, as opposed to the NAJ, which is 400 by 800. So I don't know, I haven't had a problem with the NAJ yet, being 800 on the X, but I'm sure one day I'm going to lean on that, and I'm probably going to wind up bending it. I much prefer to have the 800 on the Y with the shorter X, and it just makes it much more stable, in my opinion. So that is all the facts for nerds. That's all the important things about this machine that make it different from most other machines on the market today, along with all of the available options and some of the things that are coming soon that are going to be offered by Ortur, making this probably a really good machine to consider if you're looking to get into laser engraving. Alright, so one of the first things we need to do in Lightburn, and you'll see that I have the Lasermaster 3 here on the bed, is we have to come over to the console. And in the console, I'm going to type $$ and press enter so that I can see all of the different G codes in here. And the thing that's important, I think it's 74 right here. You see where it says 74 and 75? Okay, these are my SSID and my password. So I have to set my SSID for my network, and it has to be a 2.4 gigahertz network. You can't be on the 5G. I have to set my SSID and my password in here in order for the Lasermaster 3 to get onto the network. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type $74 equals laser shop, and I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to type $75 equals my password and press enter. So now if we come down to the bottom, you'll see that a setting has changed, and we need to follow what it says here on the screen. It says reboot or type this command to apply. So we're going to type the $WRS just like that and press enter, and you'll see that the Wi-Fi app has now rebooted and it is ready, and here is the address that you'll go to in the browser. So we're going to copy that address 10.0.0.16, and that is the address that we're going to go to in a web browser. Now you can over here create a macro. If I right click on any of these macros here, you can create a macro that has your information already preset in here so that you can set the Wi-Fi when you need to use it, like I did here. Then all you'd have to do is just click that button there, and then you'll get the message that you need to reboot the Wi-Fi adapter. So let's jump over to a browser, and now all I'm going to do is right click in here and paste that address that I just got from the console, and you'll see that the Ortur authentication window will pop up here. Now the username and the password are both the same. You'll see that I've been here before. They're both the same, admin and admin. And then when we click login, we now have the complete user interface. I want you to notice how quick that logged in, by the way. I mean, it was absolutely instantaneous. So from here you can do anything that you need to do. Now we are connected via Wi-Fi. We're no longer connected by the USB. We can unplug the USB cable and do everything that we need from this web address right up here. So if you were in a shop next door, this would be the perfect way to do this. All of your controls are right here. Let's go to the system. You'll see here everything, all of the information is in here. If we go to the Gerbil tab, these are all your $ commands in here that we would normally do in Lightburn. But back on the control tab, oh, and one thing I didn't mention is that this is separated into tabs. Networking, jogging, all the different parts of the Gerbil commands are all done here across the top. Or you can just scroll through here and look for what you need. But the control is where you're going to pretty much work. So these are all the files that are on my SD card right now. So now if I wanted to actually burn something, I would click the little play button right here, and it will see, please check that the laser is focused. That's a good thing right there. Ortur is coming out with a Z-axis stepper motor this year, so you can do Z up or Z down if and when you get one of those, and you can step it up or down by a certain amount, 1 or 10 millimeters at a time. 0.01 is right. And then we can do, at this point we can do checked, and then set the engraving starting point. So in this example we're starting at 00, And then if we click next, the number of passes, and so on. And then all you have to do is click start, and it will actually engrave. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not actually doing this right now. And the machine will go ahead and home again. And now it's back in the home position. But all you need to do is click the start button on any of the files that you upload in here. So that's just how simple it is to use this web user interface. All right, so let's talk for a moment. I know this video is getting long, but I'm hoping that everybody's going to appreciate all of the deep dive facts, the facts for nerds, you know, and all of the things that you normally don't see in a review video to help you make your decision if you are thinking about purchasing a diode laser. Let's talk for a moment about the compressed spot technology, as they call it. Basically what this is when you take two diodes, you have one diode shooting this way, one diode shooting this way, they both hit a mirror. It winds up being a diagonal shape. Even if the diode itself is, all diodes are diagonal shape, but even if the diode emits a square shape, it's going to turn it into a rectangle. And the more diodes you put in line, the bigger that rectangle is going to be, up to about 0.1, depending on 0.1 millimeters, depending on how many diodes you have. So what these optical companies have done is they have a collimating lens, or I should say lenses built into one lens that corrects for that distortion and turns it into a square. And now these are going to be more expensive lenses than the typical lens that you put into a diode laser, because it's making that correction and because there are multiple layers. So that is what the compressed spot technology is. It's a series of lenses, and that's probably going to be, if you do the science on it, it's probably going to be 3 layers of lens. You know, the top one being the convex with the round side up, and the bottom one being a convex with the round side down, and a flat in the middle. That's my guess anyway. I don't know for sure, but that's the only way that I could think that they could possibly do this, and I could be wrong, so I'm just taking a guess here. But I know that it is multiple lenses that are put together to correct for the rectangular shape. And they did a good job on this too. No matter how I ran tests on it, and I did a lot of, not just the one that you saw, you know, with the square. I did several of them, squares and circles, and got them to just almost burn through the wood on a couple of different types of wood, and they all came out even everywhere. Corners, you know, cornering, vertical, horizontal, circles, everything came out really well. So I'm going to give this module a big thumbs up. I really like it a lot. So 10 watts. 10 watts is becoming one of my favorite lasers. The size of the spot is small enough where you can do microfine engraving, and like I just said, you can engrave in every direction at the same speed and power. You don't have to worry about, you know, sides and corners not cutting through. It seems to work pretty well as far as I can tell. And like I said, I've put 40 to 50 hours more than likely on this machine, and I've run a bunch of different projects, mostly tests, but I have run like 5 or 6 different projects on it, and they all turned out wonderful. So I'm going to give this machine a big plus. The only downside that I see to it was the engineering on the air assist. Now they're calling it an air assist, and it is to some degree, but all they're doing is driving more air down the outside of the laser, which is causing a, I don't know, maybe a Venturi effect or something like that, where the smoke and the debris is coming back up the middle and affecting the lens. And a real air assist, the air comes through a nozzle that's covering the lens. So you won't get the debris blowing back, very little of it anyway, I only clean my CO2 lasers and my other lasers with air assist maybe once a week. And this one has to be cleaned every day. So that's the only downside that I've really found with this laser, was the cleaning of the lens. And the air assist could have been better engineered, for sure. For me, I would put an aftermarket air assist on it so that I don't have to worry about it, the cleaning every single day. But, it's not really an air assist what this comes with. It's an air assist maybe for the cooling, for the housing cooling, but it's not coming directly out with the laser beam. So you're not getting the cutting advantage, number one. It's not going to cut any deeper than it would without the air on, because the air is coming out in the wrong place. But I see that as a small negative as far as I'm concerned. I think that all in all, the positives on this machine outweigh the negatives 100 to 1. So I think Ortur did a very good job on this machine. It's worthy of a new name, the Lasermaster 3. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this to come out. A lot of people are Ortur fans because of, one, their support, and number two, the updates that they constantly do. I think they're at 17 or 18 firmware updates now in just a couple of years. So that tells you that they're constantly working in the background. And I know Jill over in Portugal is constantly working on customer support. So if you run into any problems, you always can get live, Facebook Messenger support. They have a support ticketing system at ortur.tech. So you can get lots of support with Ortur, and that's always been one of the biggest pluses, and why I like them so much is because they're fast to reply. If ever I've had a problem in the past, and I've had, I don't know, I think I want to say 7 Ortur machines already, that any one of those problems were handled immediately. New parts were sent out. I have a box full of Ortur new parts that they sent just in case. I had a problem with the control board. They sent me all of the new mechanics for it, the control board, the wire, everything. So I wound up with a box, and this happened twice, so wound up with a box of extra parts. So they're really good at support. The laser does a good job. The photographs come out really, really nice. The fine engraving is really, really nice. I think that I'm going to give this one a big thumbs up. If you're considering a diode laser, I would definitely put this up at the top of the list of diodes that you should do your research on and consider. So I know this has been a long video, so I'm going to cut it short now. I hope you enjoyed the deep dive and the facts for nerds, and all of the additional information that you're not going to get in other places today. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.